We had historic nights for a number of players, for the Washington Capitals, Calgary Flames, Chicago Blackhawks, all for different reasons on a night that's going to be marked by blowouts. All that and more coming up here on Locked On NHL Game Night.
When that final horn sounds, you know it's time for Locked On NHL Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before, only on Locked On NHL Game Night. Your team every day.
Hockey fans, welcome into Locked On NHL Game Night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thanks for making Locked On NHL Game Night your place to get a recap of all the night's action in the NHL during the regular season, during the playoffs, whether it's one game, 16, or anything in between, whether it's 6 overtime games or a whole bunch of blowouts. We are here one way or another with you and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Our show brought to you in part today by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Alex Wiederspiel. He's Eddie Garcia, also the host of Locked On LA Kings. They were not playing tonight. Neither were the Rangers, which made tonight kind of an actually enjoyable hockey night. I didn't have to pull out any of the little bit of hair that I have left. Well, we welcome you all in. All the goals, saves, big moments, and the stories from the night in the NHL right here on Locked On NHL Game Night. Eddie, me, and our friends from around the entire Locked On network. We'll talk with all of them. Eddie, a lot of goals tonight, but a lot of one-sided games tonight.
Yes, but there was one goal in particular we've all kind of been waiting for that finally was scored, and it's a ridiculous number.
Yes, it's absurd. We will start with the Washington Capitals and St. Louis Blues, where the story of the night, in my opinion, was the St. Louis. I'm kidding. The story of the night is Alex Ovechkin with goal number 900. He is all alone. He was all alone already, but it's even somehow more ridiculous now. It was one thing to be the all-time leading scorer. It's another thing to be the only guy who has ever crossed the threshold of 900 goals. Dan Holme from Locked On Washington Capitals has got the word on this one.
The Capitals pick up a big 6-1 victory over the St. Louis Blues. Hi, this is Dan Holme of Locked On Capitals. Well, the story from this game, of course, is Alex Ovechkin as he nets career goal number 900. A backhander, he gets past Jordan Binnington. 900 goals. Can you believe it? Getting off to a slow start of the season, only his third goal of the season, but hopefully a sign of things to come. And you take a look at Alex Ovechkin, he's had to overcome adversity, starting off the season on the injured list, and a lot at stake for Alex Ovechkin, 40 years old, 21st season in the league. Like I said, hopefully a sign of things to come, but the Capitals snapping back into shape, coming off a losing streak here, and it's good to make things right against a truly poor team like the St. Louis Blues. Tom Wilson and Anthony Beauvillier, 2 goals each. The physicality was restored. Special teams, the power play. The Capitals got a power play goal. Of course, I know it's important to limit expectations as the Blues are not a great team. A true test will be tomorrow as they take on the Penguins. I'll have much more on this for you later on Locked On Caps.
Well, they're certainly not a great team right now, and we'll get more into that later. But Alex Ovechkin has 900 goals, and he doesn't even seem like a real number.
No, it really doesn't. It's just it's a crazy number, 900, but a very un-Ovi like goal for number 900. This was not him firing off a one-timer from the left face-off dot, on his knee in his office over there. This was a backhander with his back to the net, and he just knew that Jordan Binnington was out of his net just a little bit too much, and having that hockey sense to know, I just need to get this on net from wherever I am as quickly as I can because he's out of the net, and he puts it in. So I don't know how many of those kind of goals he scored. It wasn't quite him sliding on his back in Arizona, but it was very unorthodox. It was just not a typical Ovechkin goal, but it's an incredible number. Glad he could do this one at home because he broke Gretzky's record, on Long Island So the home fans get to see him get to 900. So that was pretty cool as well. But the grade 8 is the greatest goal scorer of all time without any question.
No doubt about that, by the way. We don't have to have any weird debates about era. No, he's just the best. 2 goals tonight from Tom Wilson. Anthony Beauvillier added 2 as well, and 1 for John Carlson, who played 21 minutes tonight for the Washington Capitals. They win 6-1 over the St. Louis Blues, who, frankly, they are finding new and inventive ways not just to lose, but to be embarrassed. And right now, I don't know what to make of the St. Louis Blues, because they seemed like they played a really good game against the Edmonton Oilers, right? The other night seemed like maybe you find a spark there based on what you did. The vibes in St. Louis right now are very bad. You should read some of the post-game comments coming out of St. Louis, particularly Jim Montgomery, who basically called out his team, called them soft. This is my favorite Elliot Friedman analogy. Called them soft without calling them soft by questioning their compete and battle level.
Yeah, they're not good enough to not show up immediately when the puck drops to start a game. They've got to be in the compete, ready to go from the start. They're not good enough to, like we saw Toronto the other night, sleepwalk through 2 periods and then turn it on to the third and pull out a victory. They're not that team, clearly, and they didn't show up to start this one. It snowballed and it got out of hand very quickly. And Jordan Bennington got the hook in this one. By the way, tried to steal the Ovechkin 900 puck. That he stuck it down his pants, and the referee.
What do we think he was doing?
I was going to sell it on eBay. I don't know. The referee had to come over and say, Jordan, the Hockey Hall of Fame would like that puck, so you're going to have to pull it out of your pants and give it to me. And he did, but then he took a shower early, not long after that.
Interesting night for Jordan Binnington. I'll tell you what, if I was going to bet on any goaltender doing that, it probably would be the fiery Jordan Binnington.
He can be salty at times. I'm sure he wasn't happy giving up number 900 to Ovi.
Probably not. No, he's going to be a trivia question forever. The Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way, come up with a win tonight. One that I think the way they've started the year, again, you hate to use the term must win in early November, and considering they just got that big win over Pittsburgh. But I think what we wanted to see was them put together something more resembling 60 minutes of hockey. That felt a little bit closer to tonight as they get goals from William Nylander, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Matias Maselli, and Matthew Knies. All score in this one. Goals from Michael Carcone, Mikhail Sergachev, and Dylan Guenther for Utah. Toronto gets the win. They got an empty netter, but they were already up pretty big when they got the empty netter, and then Utah added a late one from Dylan Guenther to make it look a little bit closer. 5-3 the final in this one. Toronto Stars woke up the other night, Eddie, and it appears that they were awake tonight too.
And they need to be awake all season long. Look, you lose a guy like Mitch Marner and you don't really replace him with anyone. That means that the rest of the guys have to pick up the slack a bit. And they all did. I thought in this one, the top line of Matthews, Nylander, and Knies all score. You got John Tavares chipping in as well. And then Matias Maselli gets one against his old team, which I'm sure felt very good for him as well. So this was the formula for Toronto to get a win. And they're going to need to have all these guys show up more often than not if they're going to be successful. And they certainly were in this one. And 7th home win of the year for Toronto, which leads the NHL. And they're now 3-0 in November. So maybe the month of November will work for them to get on track.
David Morisuti has more on this victory for the Leafs from Locked On Toronto.
The Leafs core stepped up once again in their 5-3 victory over the Utah Mammoth. John Tavares, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and of course, Matias Maselli scored in the Leafs victory over the Utah Mammoth. And again, it was another big night for this Leafs core, who once again had to find a way to power themselves past Utah, who had taken an early 1-0 lead, but then the Leafs stormed back. They were able to put themselves ahead, and it was a back and forth game until John Tavares put them up late in the third period, and the Leafs were able to push themselves to another victory in November. They are now 3-0 to start the month, and it's comebacks once again for the Leafs team, who allowed the first goal of the game, but found a way for their 5-on-5 offense to really take charge. To look to continue that role going forward, and we'll discuss all that went right for them in this victory on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Meanwhile, for Utah, they've now lost 3 of 4. And, it's been sort of up and down with them. And this is going to sound like the most hockey analysis of all time. Seems like when the goaltending is good, Utah is winning games. When the goaltending's not so good, Utah has some issues. And tonight, the goaltending wasn't great.
Yeah, Vitek Vanacek, the number 2 goalie, gets a start in this one. He'll have 4 goals on just 18 shots. So you're right. Goaltending is an issue. We know that they have the pretty high-end offensive talent, a lot of good young players for Utah. But yes, goaltending is still a question mark. But again, they've had a good season. They're playing good hockey. This is a good win for Toronto.
Let's give the final word on this one to Tom Callahan of Locked On Utah Mammoth.
Suddenly, the once hot Mammoth have now lost 3 out of their last 4, and it's a critical stretch in this young season for an up-and-coming team. When you lose 3 out of 4, the question has to be asked, was the hot start a mirage? What's coming next? Well, a couple of tests against Ottawa and Montreal as they round out an Eastern road swing. Plus, if you're going to give them a little leeway here, it's because they're playing 8 of 9 away from home right now. But still not where they want to be. They had to take Buffalo to overtime to win that game and really did not look like they were in it, especially in the third period against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They kept the game close through the first 40 minutes or so, but Toronto really outclassed them in the third. They got a late goal to make it look a little better than it was. They did give up an empty netter. But right now, that's not the effort Utah needs to be putting forth. I understand it's a back-to-back, and that 6th straight period of hockey can be tiring, but right now, the Mammoth need to rest and find a way back in the win column.
All right, I think I muted myself there for a second. Thank you to our Locked On Mammoth host, Tom. We are going to go ahead and take a quick break. The closest game of the night out west was still decided by 3 goals. The Blackhawks goaltending frustrated Vancouver for pretty much all of that game. Special nights for Nazem Kadri and Connor Bedard for different reasons. All that and much more coming up right here on Locked On NHL Game Night. Our show brought to you in part today by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score to the next fourth quarter comeback. You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. So, Eddie, the next game on my list here, I want to start with the Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets, because sort of an inauspicious game in many respects. And it's one that we know the connections, Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan, and there was a wonderful sort of shared sense of community in these games last season as a result of that and a result of that story. Well, there wasn't much shared sense of community tonight as Columbus went to Calgary and the Flames looked better than they have maybe all season long. In Nazem Kadri's 1,000th game, they got goals from Morgan Frost, Blake Coleman, Kirill Marchenko would score for Columbus in this one, and then Nazem Kadri himself would get a goal. They got a goal from Klapka. They got another one late from Backlund. Goals 1 and 2 came within 40 seconds of each other in the first period. Goals 3 and 4 came within 40 seconds of each other in the second period. So even when it looked like Columbus might do something a little bit late, they gave up 2 backbreakers essentially in the same span of time. So first period, second period, they actually looked like the better team for stretches in the second period, and Calgary did something that they really haven't done all season, and that's score in bunches.
Yeah, and I think the Nazem Kadri 1,000th game, I think the Flames felt good about that. It was something they kind of celebrated, and it kind of got them in the mood to just go out there and let it rip. And they did. They didn't look like the worst team in the NHL. They looked like a team that was just out there kind of having fun and skating hard and skating for each other. And I was really surprised, frankly, at that effort. And they had video of the guys all walking into the stadium. They were all wearing their Nazem Kadri t-shirts, and they were all smiling and having a good time. I'm like, wow, they're very loose and look like they're ready to go. And they translated that onto the ice. That having been said, not great performance here from Columbus. A lot of odd man rushes. The Nazem Kadri goal was on a 2-on-1. Joel Farabee feeds him nicely, and he knew he had to. He's like, I'm not shooting this. I got to set up Kadri on Kadri night here, and he put it home and did his best with it. But I was really impressed with the way the Flames came out and were really just flying around. And Dustin Wolf, we had some questions about him early in the season. He stops 42 shots in this one. So he comes back, has a nice effort here after a few off games for him for sure early on, but he's had his moments. It's not on him completely coming in and kind of showing a sophomore slump. So I was impressed with the Flames in this one. I really was.
Calgary's got some work to do to get their season back on track. That was a good effort tonight to make that happen. Rasmus Andersson, nice night defensively, one of the highest game scorers in the league in this game, also added an assist. Let's move over to Chicago, where they win 5-2 with an empty netter, though this one was kind of wild. 7 third period goals. Bertuzzi with a hat. So all the goals scored, by the way, in the third period. Tyler Bertuzzi with a hat trick. Vancouver, a lot of defensive breakdowns in the third period. The last Bertuzzi goal, I recommend folks go and watch it. It was a nightmare defensive sequence in a lot of respects for Vancouver, and I don't know how you're supposed to defend that. Asu Ratu and Evander Kane both added goals, and then maybe the sweet story of the night, Connor Bedard, the Vancouver kid, who grew up a Vancouver Canucks fan, gets his first goal in Vancouver. He had 2 points on the night. He's up to 18 in 14 games. Before we get to our Locked On contributor, Eddie, I feel like I've been the king of the Connor Bedard gospel all season. He's been my guy, and I think we're seeing it a little bit from him as this goes on. The Blackhawks look okay.
I don't know how old you are. Are you familiar with the term rope-a-dope?
I am familiar with the term rope.
Okay, for those who aren't, it was an old boxing term. Muhammad Ali would let his opponent basically beat on him for many rounds, tire himself out, and then destroy him after he had nothing left. And I felt like this was what the Chicago Blackhawks did. They were letting Vancouver get shot after shot after shot after shot, and didn't have much to show for it. And then the third period, they put the knockout blow. And 45 shots on net for Vancouver in this one, a season high. But they didn't have much other than throwing shots on from distance. And Tyler Bertuzzi had a hat trick, and all 3 goals were greasy goals. One goes off his skate, another one he's at the back post and taps it in, and then the third one, which Alex was talking about, he patiently waits for a couple of guys to go down and just flips a rebound into the empty net. So all the things that the Canucks weren't doing, getting to rebounds, going to the net, those types of things, he did on his own. And I thought that was a nice comparison as to what happened in the game and why Chicago won this game.
Let's hear from Jack Bushman from Locked On Chicago Blackhawks.
Streak against the Canucks has finally come to an end as Tyler Bertuzzi and Spencer Knight steer the Blackhawks to a 5-2 win in Vancouver. And the Blackhawks had to lean heavily on their goaltender in this one, especially in the second period, as Knight was sensational to keep the game scoreless and give his team a chance. And then in the final frame, it was the Tyler Bertuzzi show as all 3 of his goals came in the third period to record a hat trick. Connor Bedard also nets 2 points to beat his hometown team for the first time. Real big 2 points earned by the Blackhawks after dropping the first 3 games of their road trip. I'll get into the other key takeaways from this contest on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Blackhawks.
All right, so much appreciated there, Jack, as always. And man, Chicago looking up, Vancouver potentially looking down right now. And we're going to stick in the region where San Jose and Seattle met up. And you want to talk about rope-a-dope? Man, that kind of felt like this a little bit. 1-1 in this one when San Jose dropped a 5-spot unanswered by Seattle. They pulled Joey Decord, who let up 5 goals on 20 shots, an uncharacteristically bad night for him this season where he's been really, really good. And San Jose gets another 3-point night from Macklin Celebrini. So obviously I was just praising the gospel of Connor Bedard. Celebrini's up to 21 points in just 14 games, Eddie, to start his second season.
He's legit. That's about the stupidest, most ridiculous thing that I've said tonight so far. But the talent on that guy is unbelievable. And I, as a fan of a team in the Pacific Division, I look at some of these young up and coming players and teams, and I'm like, man, my LA Kings better do something this year because they are trending in the wrong direction as far as having a lot of, really good, young, dynamic players on their team. And I'm looking at Anaheim and I'm looking at San Jose and I'm like, man, these young guys are coming. And particularly for San Jose, they're now gaining confidence. They are now playing with their chests out a little bit. Obviously they started the season very badly, but here in the last, 7-8 games, they're playing some really good hockey and they're flying around, and Seattle had no answer for what the Sharks are throwing at them. And they got some decent goaltending as well. Yaroslav Askarov allowed 1 goal and only 24 shots, but still that's been one of their question marks. Could they get enough goaltending? But San Jose, they're again gaining confidence, young guys enjoying having fun what they're doing, but Celebrini is just a beast.
Let's hear from JD Young of Locked On San Jose Sharks.
Celebrini with a goal and 2 assists now puts him in the tie for the league lead in points with one Connor McDavid. But the Sharks get a bunch of contributions up and down the lineup as they win 6-1 over the Seattle Kraken. Askarov having one of his best games in teal, giving up just 1 goal on 29 shots. And the Sharks got contributions on the penalty kill, on the power play, and at even strength as this team is starting to figure things out. They're on a 4-game point streak and looks like they're learning how to actually play defense and, of course, continue to score a ton of goals. So we'll talk about this complementary hockey that this team is playing, how they're being opportunistic, even though maybe they're not driving the best offensive analytics, but they're getting the job done. So we'll discuss more on your next episode of Locked On Sharks, wherever you get podcasts. And, of course, you can watch on YouTube as well.
Well, the big story of the night for Seattle is the term embarrassed, and that's how Erica Ayala described it. She is the host of Locked On Seattle Kraken.
Do it. The horn has sounded. The Seattle Kraken lose 6-1 at home to the San Jose Sharks, a team that looked like they were starting to get it done offensively, starting to get some contributions from throughout the lineup. The Seattle Kraken go 0 for 6 on the power play, gave up a shorthanded goal, and the San Jose Sharks were able to run Joey Decord out of net. In his first shot faced, Matt Murray, facing the second consecutive breakaway in the third period, gives up the 6th and final goal. The Seattle Kraken will hit the road for a couple of games before coming back here to Climate Pledge Arena on November 11th, where they take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. This was not a great game. This is the Kraken crap that we sometimes talk about on the show, and it has to be fixed. I'm headed downstairs to the locker room to hear what the team has to say about this brutal loss, and we'll talk about that on the next episode of Locked On Kraken.
All right, and we are going to get into this. Eddie and I have prepared a rapid fire round for you, and we're going to start with the Seattle Kraken and Eddie's take on tonight and what the Kraken did, and see if he can top the fire from Erica there when we get back here on Locked On NHL Game Night. Let's be real, folks. Making excuses at this point doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. All you have to do is connect with their board-certified doctors, 100% online, no awkward waiting room, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnhl to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnhl. Don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so that they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, I've been excited for this all night. Our first rapid fire round. What did we learn tonight? And Eddie, we're going to start with you. What did we learn? What did you learn about the Seattle Kraken tonight?
Well, there's nothing to fear from this mythical beast from the ocean depths. This is a team that really has to get it done collectively. And as you heard Erica say, this is not a team that can go 0 for 6 on the power play. They have to be opportunistic. They have to take advantage of their situations. And look, I'm not saying Jordan Eberle and Jaden Schwartz and Matty Beniers, they're good hockey players, but you don't fear them. There's no one on this roster who throws fear into you, like some of these guys we've talked about, like Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard. They just don't have anybody that's like that at all. So when you watch the Kraken, it's just there's nobody that throws any kind of fear into you whatsoever. If they're not getting it done as a group, they're not getting it done.
Here's what I've learned. Tanking war. No, I'm kidding. That's JD Young's line. I'll let him stick to it. Here's what I learned from San Jose tonight. They are not in the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. We were told incorrectly. San Jose, if Macklin Celebrini is healthy and plays like this, and Yaroslav Askarov plays like this, they are not in the sweepstakes. They could still win it, but that's not because they're in it. That's because they might get some ping pong ball luck, if you will. Let's move over to Vancouver and Chicago. What did I learn tonight about Chicago? I learned that Connor Bedard has help, and I learned that the coaching is part of that. Rope-a-dope indeed. Chicago, I don't think that defense was supposed to be this good. And again, 45 shots is not great. It means that you didn't have the puck a lot. But as you noted, Eddie, they weren't giving up a lot from the important parts of the ice, and then they turned it on in the third period. So Chicago has help, Bedard has help, and it's more than just the guys around him. Eddie, what did you learn from Vancouver?
Elias Pettersson is not that guy. I realize, and then by the way, we're talking about the forward, not the defenseman.
Yes.
I always have to make that clear, but I know he had a 100-point season once upon a time. He doesn't look like anything like that. And I get it. He's playing on a line with Evander Kane and Kiefer Sherwood. Is that a top line on any good teams? No. At the same time, he's not holding up his end of the rope. He is very passive. He doesn't drive plays. He is a great Batman, or excuse me, he's a great Robin, but he's not Batman. And he doesn't have Batman on his line with him. And that's an equation for a guy who's just a guy right now. And they bet on him. And look, if he can get somebody else to play alongside of him, that he can be that facilitator, maybe you've got something there, but he is not that guy.
Columbus and Calgary. Eddie, we're going snake style. What did you learn from the Jackets tonight?
When they aren't attacking, they are retreating. We saw them play a couple of games ago against Toronto, and they were throwing everything at the Leafs. The defense jumping up in the play. It was north-south, attack. In this game, there was no attack at all. They were super passive, and they saw the puck going the other way on them. So it's either feast or famine, apparently, for the Columbus Blue Jackets. But when they're not on the attack, they have nothing going on for them. And they were not on the attack in Calgary in this one.
Apparently, it ain't easy being green doesn't just have to be about Kermit the Frog. It can also be about being young and inexperienced like the Jackets are. Over in Calgary, what did I learn? They are not giving up on this season yet, and they may not have the talent to do what they want to do, but they definitely have the effort. Calgary is not going to be an easy out, especially when you have to go to their barn.
They need to celebrate. They need to celebrate Nazem Kadri's 1,000th game every game. Apparently,
you know what? That's all right. We've got the strategy. We got to
invite the whole Kadri family. Do that whole get up, pass out the T-shirts. We're going to do Groundhog Day on this
every single night. What did I learn in Toronto? The Stars might have woken up and realized that they're down a star and they actually need to play like stars. The Maple Leafs getting that win tonight, and the way that they did it looked a lot more like the Leafs that I expected when the season began. Eddie, what have you learned about the Utah Mammoth tonight?
They've got a lot of great young talent, but there's a young defenseman that may be someone who could be a difference maker for them as the season goes along, and that is Dmitry Shimashev. He's 20 years old. He was a first-round pick, 6th overall in 2023, 6'4", 200 pounds, and he got his first point in this game. He's playing on the top pairing for Utah. Growth and development for him this season, I think, when it's all said and done, they may have a really, really good looking young player on their back end. And we know they've got him on the front end, but Dmitry Shimashev on the back end has a lot of promise for them.
He reminds me a bit of Keandre Miller. All right, final two, I should say, but we'll start with you, Eddie. What did you learn from the Washington Capitals tonight?
I know it's easy to get overlooked when Alexander Ovechkin scores number 900 and your team blows out the other team. But if you were handing out the Vezina Trophy today, it goes to Logan Thompson. He's leading the league in goals against average. He's leading the league in save percentage. He's had 9 starts, and he's not allowed more than 2 goals in any of those starts, and he did it again tonight. Logan Thompson, very quietly, having a tremendous year for Washington.
What did I learn in St. Louis? It's getting late early. And I'm quoting Shu, I'm quoting you, I'm quoting everybody who's used that cliche before because it's accurate. This is bad news. This is as bad as it has looked, and it's not one thing. They are 32nd in 5-on-5 save percentage, and the goaltending has been bad. Goalie gave up multiple clear-sighted goals tonight, but you should see the defense on a couple of these goals. John Carlson's goal in particular, I have no earthly idea what was going on there. Logan Mailloux has been on ice for 1 Blues goal this season and has been on ice for 10 against. That is a huge problem. Not much better for their number 1, Colton Parayko. Guys, if you want complete coverage of your favorite NHL team, there is a Locked On NHL Team podcast and YouTube show for you, because we have one for every NHL team except for Calgary. And the truth is, we already solved Calgary. They just need Nazem Kadri night every night. So that's going to be our party line for the next few weeks till we have a host there. This show, Locked On NHL Game Night, is here for you each and every night of the regular season and the playoffs. We'll wrap up everything that happens in the NHL. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this show if you're watching on YouTube. We want to see your thoughts on tonight's games in the comment section. What did you learn tonight about your favorite team or about any of the 10 that we talked about today? That'll do it for this episode of Locked On NHL Game Night. For Eddie Garcia, I'm Alex Wiederspiel. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching Locked On NHL Game Night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day.